welcome back, everyone. We're again back to back, and we have 3 sessions to go. And we're here with Scholar. We have a duo, which gets a little busy on stream, but we have, like just intimate, cozy. We like it. And we have the Wills, who are often probably introduced as the Wills, but we'll talk about you two individually as well. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Doing great.
Yeah?
It's been a great trip so far. Seen a
Enjoying
lot of
all?
good stuff. Really enjoying the city.
Yeah.
Been running around quite a bit.
Pretty big inspiration, just seeing all these amazing talents, the brains.
Yeah. Which talks did you actually attend, and did you see anyone interesting or that you've been wanting to see?
There's been a couple really good ones. The G-Monk kind of intro was really fun to hear him talk about kind of the wild psychedelic process behind everything, and the kind of the women in the industry as well, and just hearing the takes on stuff. So it's been fun to absorb as much as we possibly could.
Nice, awesome. And for anyone at home watching, we do have a live chat, so if you want to ask questions, I'll pass them on during the stream. But for now, I'll let you introduce yourselves, because we haven't actually taken that on, right? So please introduce Scholar.
Okay.
First step.
Sounds good.
And who you are.
Yeah, for sure. Scholar's a design and animation production company. We do live action. I think we're really passionate about blending styles. So we always try and bring as many different styles together and kind of try and break new ground, with technique and are very story driven.
Yep.
So sort of whatever, we don't want the style that we do to ever drive the story. We choose we read the script and kind of figure out the style that brings that story to life the best, which is really our focus.
Nice.
Is always
And
story.
where are you based?
We have a Los Angeles and a New York office.
Very nice. And you two are kind of jumping between the two, or you just...
We do. We've got a great setup with we're based in Los Angeles, which is where we kind of started, and New York's been open. I mean, it was a couple years after. It wasn't too much longer after that we opened that, but we've got a great team out there that kind of runs the day-to-day, so
nice.
We get to bounce back and forth. We get to bounce back and forth, we don't have to, we get to. That's kind of like a big difference.
I love
really
that
nice,
approach.
to be able to it's always where you immerse yourself too, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you're actually friends and business partners, right? You know each other from beforehand, or how did you set this up? How far back does it go?
It goes
do we go to childhood,
really far down the rabbit hole.
We're pushing 20 years of sitting next to each other.
Being this close for 20 years.
Still healthy, you're still getting
still
on.
healthy.
Yeah,
doing
it. We're doing it.
No heads have been lopped off, It's
It becomes therapy at some point here. So
exactly, No, it goes way back. We met in college, so we kind of, some amazing professors out there kind of smashed us together, and we didn't stop. We just kind of kept going.
So how did you decide to set up studio, and how did it grow from there?
We were freelancing. We worked together actually right out of college, and then we ended up going off and freelancing for a minute, and we were kind of we want to do something where we just really give the artists the creative freedom to mess around and kind of explore and get the credit that they deserve too. So we started Scholar in 2010, and we never really looked back, and we've just been trying to surround ourselves with way smarter people than us since then.
Great
who
strategy.
want to play and dive deep. So it's been really awesome.
How do you find people for Scholar? What is the kind of the things that you spot and that are just important for being part of it? And
I think it's been the ability to learn. I think that's we actually talked about that while we were here earlier. It's just learning how to learn, and I think that's been kind of, we're weirdos in that sense too. We don't like to settle. That's why when you're looking at our work, you see live action and animation, and
we'll
we
see
do
that
mixed
in a bit.
media, all that stuff. So we don't settle, and we kind of surround ourselves with people who do the same.
Nice. What was your talk about here on Thursday? I think you said,
Oh, it was...
Couldn't get sneaks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not sneaks anymore.
I guess,
like Jonathan said, our studio is really kind of based on learning and furthering ourselves as artists and giving the space for that to grow. So we talked about what we call metacognition, of just understanding the way your brain works and looking at your thought process and learning how to learn, right? So learning one new thing is always difficult, but as you learn more and more, if you pay attention to how your brain works, you can actually make learning more efficient and get better
Not so
at
scary,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Unscarify the learning process. Yeah.
Nice, awesome. I think we have to look a little bit at your work as well to get what you're actually doing. So
Right.
let's get started. I feel like you're talking about all
we
these
go
concepts.
way science. It's art. Let's
Went real
talk about
deep,
the art.
from the beginning. So
That's fine.
let's go back a little bit about and go talk a little bit about your clients and who you work with and what does that look like.
For sure.
So we'll probably screen share. I think the guys will have this ready. Yeah.
Great.
Here we go.
Yeah, we focus a lot on advertising advertising, at least like commercial entities and brands and brand building and personality building within brands and advertising. So a lot of the content creation that we do, it leans heavy on live action and animation. That's kind of that weird brain that we keep talking about, where we're like, we got to keep learning. The minute that we learn something, we're like, what's the next thing? So, it started with us kind of diving into animation. Like, we came from animation studios. We worked together on that side of things, and then we both, our interests lied really heavy in kind of like the filmic side of things too, outside of Scholar.
Yep.
So we started to try to apply as much lens tech talk into the animation as we did taking the animation into the live action. So we're kind of seeing a bunch of the weird dynamic. I keep saying weird, but that
like
weird is like a good thing. Yeah, we have like a mantra like
good
get weird.
Yeah.
So we kind of lean into that. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's kind of a fun one. But yeah, I mean, we design, we always use it in a story capacity. So a lot of times that comes through in characters and finding new way to bring stories to life. But yeah, we can probably don't have to play down spots, but there's really nice kind of behind the scenes pieces where you get to see, the mix of mediums. So something we really enjoy is having people swing into places that they're uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
So an animator, or maybe moving from cell into 3D, or vice versa, or designers kind of pushing outside their comfort zone, and it brings a unique style to the work that we do.
Definitely, and I think you also have a Behance. I completely forgot about this, but
do,
you have
we
like
do.
more updated like
We
work.
do.
So we can also jump to that at some point if you
This
want.
is a great one though, just kind of, and we're talking about like the process, because we we tend to do kind of the soup to nuts, as well, where we get brought in really early in the concept phase, where it's like, here's a phrase.
Yeah.
Can you help us build off of that? So I think a lot of times we start to throw everything at the wall and ask those questions that need asking to figure out where we fit in the process, so we can get weird, which I will stop saying and move peculiar.
And then start a game at the end of this, right? Like count how many weirds we got.
Some kind of game, yeah, exactly.
I'll keep on saying weird in all the other speaker interviews after this. I'll be like, are you weird too?
I'm so sorry.
We find each other. Love it.
So yeah, the other half of our company is live action. So we have a handful of DGA live action directors.
Yeah.
But all of our directors do both, kind of swing from animation and creative directing animation to directing live action. And I think we really like how they inform each other. Kind of we direct a little bit like we animate, and then we animate a little bit like we use a camera. So it has this interesting cross-pollination.
It's all driven by kind of the story and what fits best. So we've had times where folks come in and they're asking for an animation project, and it probably is best suited to push it live action, but it's always with a design component. So it's always leaning into like what's the style that fits that story best,
How do clients respond to this when you must be pretty confident going back to them saying, hey, like
they respond well. I think a lot of times, we're really collaborative people. We really like that conversation. And we've heard no a million times too. So that's okay.
So you get used to it.
We're okay with that. And as long, no with a purpose is like probably the strongest, weapon in your armor. So I think, we've heard it a million times, but we've also had, opportunities like this Accurate spot Campbell just brought up, where we did define almost every single visual, because it was like, we just have two words. What is the metaphor behind it?
As long as it ladders up to the story and the strategy, it's like they're not just empty ideas for visuals. There's always a really good reason behind it. So it gets clients excited, when it's like, oh, I've actually been thinking about
a bit more
this.
to pretty pictures. Than
And you're pushing it. The conversation's like, how do we make it better? So it's like, that's a pretty easy conversation to have too.
And I think you had also Olivia Rodrigo in there somewhere.
We did,
which we should definitely show.
Which one?
The Olivia Rodrigo, the brutal one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Our team
it's like, where do we start?
working on that.
Yeah. So how was that experience?
It was great. It was really great. We worked with Petra Collins, who did the directing on it. We kind of, ran post and worked pretty heavy on the design of this. And this was another one where it was kind of, there was a bit of a brief at first, but the minute we did one or two things and started the designs and the animation and kind of proved that first wave of design, it was like the door just bust open. And so we got a chance to really push. These are a lot of our designers' amazing faces too, as they kind of like designed and animated some of these. But it was fun. This was a really fun process just to figure out. It's like that spot where tech meets art. And I think that's where we love to live too. We're talking a lot about story and style, but like where tech meets the art side of things too.
And how have the last kind of 2 years been with the pandemic, and not only running, the company and getting this, set up in the best way, but, in terms of projects and just keeping on challenging yourselves?
I mean, the biggest thing is just we have such a group of people that really just are down to work hard and make it work. It really couldn't have done it without them, and wouldn't have been even before that what it is without them. But it was so hard for everyone, and everyone. It was very emotional, and everybody really like stuck together as a crew, and it was like a nice thing, a nice distraction to be able to like dive into work and work together and help each other through it. So
it was like it was a nice moment too, because there was a bit of quiet. The storm happened and it was quiet, and I think that learning how to learn process that we talked about earlier it definitely was. We had that moment of like, oh, we do have the right people here, because they all were like, what else? So it definitely opened doors for situations like this, where at first we're like, I'm not exactly sure how we're going to conquer it.
Everybody had a little extra time to
there was
to
a
figure
moment.
stuff
There was
out.
a moment, and then that time collapsed really quickly, and but it worked. It was the tech.
Then you
our tech
realize
team
you have
was
the right team set up, right?
Yeah.
In those key moments, and who knows what else could happen still. So let's
I know exactly.
stay tuned.
That's okay. Optimism.
Nice. And obviously we're opening up, and I think especially in the US, everything's kind of going back to normal. Let's see how it goes. How has it been going back to like the office and running the business, and also seeing that maybe you'll have, are you mostly still based in the US or have international clients? How's it going?
We're mostly based in the US. We do have international clients, so we've done a few projects kind of outside, and it's been great. I think the going remote was really nice. It gave people a little bit of that focus, but now it makes the going to the office and that like in-person collaboration even more sweet. So we've had a few, for shoots and things like that, we go in and everybody gets together, but we've had a couple times where we've brought the team together to kind of reformat like the design process, or think about how we do things different. So
the bonding time is really important, to hang out and not work, and then everybody's really adapted so well that there's no mandatory we're heading all back. It's like everybody's kind of flexible and can do what they need to do. It's been nice. I think a lot of people got a lot of personal time back. It was really nice.
That's true.
Hopefully everyone's coming back healthy and like just in a new space.
Exactly.
You love challenging each other and experimenting. So what's kind of next? Can you share any sneaks for this year, or how are you going to take this to the next level?
Well, great question.
Yeah.
That's always a good question. What is the sneak?
Either way, I'm challenging you, so you have to have an answer.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we touched on strategy a little bit, and it is kind of going beyond just the pretty picture, really the why, who are we talking to, where's the final product going, and how do we gear towards that. But then from a technology side, like, I can plug Photoshop a little bit, like those AI tools that are starting to get integrated, they're really starting to build on themselves, and exciting things are starting to happen. So I'm really looking forward to that continuing to evolve, because it's every week new things are happening in that space. So it's fun to watch.
It's kind of to give this one, the guy that hit my 20 years, I can't give him too much credit anymore, but like kind of a technologist, in a way.
Yeah.
So it's finding the purpose for the technology, and I think we're in this like really amazing space where there's so much cool stuff coming out, and it all makes sense in a production process, but it hasn't been utilized all the way yet. So I think the next few steps are trying to figure out, what is the AR stuff, or even like getting like the virtual stages. How do we incorporate design in a way that makes sense versus just smashing it together? So a lot of things are starting to go that way, where it's that tech, the AI. Obviously, the AI is so fun to like turn people's hands into hot dogs, but when you're trying to do something else with it and make kind of something that isn't just an abstract form, and give it that kind of brand strategy to it. So
like when we started, remember we would do word association charts to like help brainstorm, and now you can just like punch in a word and AI will start generating things, and you still have to curate,
But that's so weird, right? Like, I feel like love going through this process a little bit organically. Like, you're just discovering and exploring. You don't know what it's going to trigger.
It's crazy.
It's insane. Any highlights from OFF and things that you take away? Again, technology-wise, we've talked about NFTs, 3D, all sorts of things here, and it's always going all sides. Anything that you take away?
I think it's always, for me, I'm going to speak for myself, I guess, well, or both of us. I'm not sure, we're both will. The process. I think that hearing other people's artistic process is always the most interesting. I think like G-Monk, obviously, like
Yep.
Not everybody has to do peyote or get kind of that crazy, but I love hearing like the way that he approaches certain things, or Buck, Tendril, some of the folks that we've kind of been able to watch.
Yeah.
How do they talk about it? I
Yep.
think that's the discussion, is like, how do we talk about it in a way that like takes it out of being this insane thing and kind of normalizes
Yep.
it, I guess, for us. So
Yeah. I mean, I'd say like festivals like this, groups of creative people always get you in a creative mindset. Like you start to get inspired by things. And we've been running around a lot of the Gaudi architecture.
Yeah,
And it's been
yeah.
Nice.
blowing
Yeah.
my mind.
That is true.
Yeah,
That's the-
it's like you
that's
see the
the real
pictures,
one.
but to
Yeah.
think that 150 years ago he designed something that still
Yeah.
feels futuristic. It's
Yeah.
Crazy.
been incredible.
Barcelona has an amazing creative scene. We've talked about this actually with a couple guests from New York, especially. I was like, what's the difference? Like, what do you feel here in Europe or in Berlin, London, Barcelona that is different, like in terms of
Yeah.
vibe? And yeah, a couple people also said that going to talks was a little bit daunting before yours, because you're like, look at what other people are saying, and you're like, oh no, I might change my talk, and
Right. Yeah.
hey, I didn't think of this about 3D. This is, so it's kind of nice to hear that you actually attended other talks and felt inspired by
Yeah.
it, and not kind
Yeah.
of crushed by all this
By the way.
information. Yeah. Like,
It's all a takeaway, right? I think
Nice.
we're trying at least. We're pretending super well.
kind of last questions here. The sessions are pretty quick, so any
worries.
personal projects from your sides, and do you work on your own little kind of projects and little bits here and there, or is
do.
it fully Scholar and you're just taken over by that?
Yeah, I mean, I do some Instagram
You
stuff.
might as well.
feel
Now is the
free
time.
to.
Yeah. Now is the
Like
time.
plug it in.
Yeah, as he pulls it up too, we had a
Yeah.
minute, just like we're talking about with our staff and everything, where we're always kind of like pushing, like, what is next? So we were like, well, we never really learned a lot of that. We were more Maya people.
Yep.
So we kind of were like, let's open up C4D and get really comfortable in there. So
Yeah.
Campbell took it upon himself to really get comfortable in there.
This was
Wow.
with the COVID time that we
This
had,
is-
where
this
it
is
was
that.
like, okay, I got to do something at
used
home.
that well.
So, yeah, we dove right in and just kind of trying to blend a lot of the things I wanted to do with photography, or I want to go shoot,
Yep.
but wasn't able to at the time, to do my best to recreate that in CG. So
Yeah.
these are not photographs; they're all CG spaces and models and stuff.
I think that's
So-
Really cool.
That's kind of
Pretty
it. Is
cool.
like we're talking about like the live action with the design, and it's that like looking at it with a lens, or having the conversation where you can say the same thing
Yeah.
with a different eye, and I think that's always been kind of a fun conversation to have. That where you're like, how
Yeah.
do clients take it? And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they take it much easier when you can show them something like this, and you can be like,
Completely.
there are two ways,
Yeah.
There's infinite ways, but
Yeah.
we prefer the two.
Yeah.
Infinity is crazy.
And then you do a lot of writing.
I do
so
I
I was
gonna
go
doesn't-
to you, I was
Writing
like,
doesn't
okay,
come
so
out on Instagram.
how'd you live up to this?
It's much harder. Wrote a book, but I
wait,
love
okay.
fantasy, fiction and things, and it helps because it's we're both visual creatures, but
Yep.
and we both can like put some words on paper, and it helps with our ideation and thought process and stuff too. But I wrote. My
Nice.
fingers are very sore, but other than that,
It
yeah.
wasn't handwritten, right?
Yeah,
Like, you just, like, I'm worried now.
It was a quill and
Yeah.
ink, and
2
it
years.
was
You need to start Scholar Publishing. pretty soon.
Right,
We'll
yeah,
Oh,
okay.
self-publish
nice.
it.
that could work. I mean, it does make sense. Scholar does make
Yeah,
sense.
Scholar.
Yeah.
It's like the penguin, the next, like...
Right.
Yeah, totally.
I can
So
see
true,
it.
yeah.
I can
No
see the
pressure,
vision.
no pressure.
Yeah,
It'll be
no
fine.
pressure. Yeah, that's totally fine.
It's cool.
Thought I was gonna dodge it for sure. Yeah.
Final little tips for anyone wanting to start into animation and get into, somewhere like Scholar or anything like that.
That's always a
Yeah.
good question. I think that's actually probably one of our favorite questions. It's the, it is that push, to try new things. I think that's kind of where we love to see like. There's a lot to be said about people who focus and have a very distinct style, and that's them, and you can tell it, and that's their personality. But I think at Scholar, we just ask people to do so many different things at different times and jump into so many different conversations that you don't have to be perfect at any of those things. Just know enough to be dangerous,
Yeah.
and be able to have those conversations. 'Cause I think that's where that intersection is where some really interesting things happen. That's
Yeah.
where it's like
Yeah.
you're kind of discovering new things. You uncover something, you try something. You're like, nobody's ever done that before. So
Yeah. I think Scholar's a little blue collar. Like I think everybody's fairly humble and helpful, and it feels like it really breeds this creative, collaborative experience. So I think that's more important than having all of the perfect skills
Yeah.
is being able to be part of the team and,
Yeah.
and grow and learn yourself and be willing to share what you know with everybody else.
Yeah.
As you grow, how do you think you'll keep that culture? Is it mostly just hiring and the way you get people in, or?
Yeah,
It
just
is,
being
yeah.
careful. Like,
Yeah.
as we get bigger, our jobs are less and less creative.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more about that, of making sure that the people are healthy, and,
People are
and
healthy,
the
yeah,
people
that's
that are
good.
interacting with each other are doing well, and people are like watching out for what kind of work they want to grow into
Yeah.
and helping people grow and move. And I think that's, we're all artists and we want to learn and change and feel like we're evolving. So it's
Right.
kind of our biggest
Yeah.
task
Yeah.
is making sure that the artists are growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Healthy
Nice.
brain.
Nice.
Healthy brain.
I think that's like our last little words. So
Ah.
sounds perfect. Like the little final line. But you'll be sticking around, right? Like you're still going to be at OFF today
Yeah,
and
yeah, we're
in
here.
the next hours.
We're here. Got a
I
lot of
think it
shopping to
closes
do.
around 9. Shopping. The shop
Yep,
is great.
yep,
It's
yep.
been packed, and I think a lot of them, are super happy to be back as well, which is nice to see. So keen to support them. But thanks for joining us.
Oh my
Enjoy
gosh.
the last day and your adventures, and I'm keen to see what Scholar will end up doing. So.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
stay
Thank
tuned because we'll be back and we still have 2 sessions to go and we'll be wrapping up OFF, which is super sad. Thanks, everyone. See you in 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you.